my sister, Shaquita Graham, and together we are Married Women's Business. You can find us at marriedwomensbiz.com. How are you doing today, Shaquita?
I'm doing good, Noma. How are you?
I'm good. Am I a little slow?
Yeah, I just noticed that.
Okay, so hopefully our situation will correct itself with our internet. But I wanted to jump in right into this Tyrese Gibson topic. And just basically a summary of it is that he went online and, had a meltdown and embarrassed and humiliated himself and everybody who looks like him. And then Will and Jada Pinkett Smith actually decided to help him. Apparently, they sent his wife $5 million to keep him afloat while he's going through all these problems, and told him that the caveat was, please stay off of line. And then he came online to tell everybody that they gave him $5 million. But the bigger question is, are they enabling him by giving him money? What do you say?
I think Will and Jada giving Tyrese $5 million has its pros and its cons as far as the message that it's sending to Tyrese and to Black people. The pro is that when we as Black people do work together and have each other's backs, that's a good thing. That is a good thing that, when we can, we come to the aid of another Black person. Now, the con, though, is that Tyrese's actions are they're so hard to support. And because, we want to build a Black community that is on a certain code. And, he really emasculated himself and brought to light a lot of issues related to fiscal responsibility, relationship responsibility, just a lot of those issues that are like off code in a way. So, I'm kind of split with that. It's like I love it and I hate it. What about you?
So the problems that you're talking about are there are many levels of problems. The first thing is keep your private business to yourself, okay? Especially when it has anything to do with family. No matter what happens with your family, even if they do something that you don't like or you don't agree with them, you don't make a whole video about it and have a meltdown and cry about it, and let everybody know your private business. The second thing is, yes, he obviously has been mismanaging his money because now he's complaining about how much he has to pay in child support or alimony or whatever it is. But Tyrese has had a pretty successful career, so you have to wonder how he has been managing his money, just like you said. Then the third thing is, I was really, really disturbed by the fact that I couldn't understand what the purpose of the video was, because it seemed like he was crying for help, right? But who is he asking to help him? And that's the part that I just don't understand. Who is he asking to help him? And why does he have to create a video to get help? Doesn't he have resources, friends, family, influential people? Doesn't he have any influence? That was very disturbing for me. So the question of whether they're enabling him or not is, I think it's great that they're helping a friend out, and I think he's like family to them. That part I absolutely, absolutely love. But all in all, I'd say they were enabling him because there was also a question of whether he has bipolar disorder. That came up, and they said that. And the thing is, I was actually a little relieved to hear that, because then it would make sense why his behavior was so bizarre. And then there was a question of whether he was physically assaulting his daughter in a fit of rage. Again, if you hear that he has some kind of mental instability, then that kind of explains it. But all in all, I would say they were still, if those things are true about him, enabling those things.
Right. And, the thing is, there's so much to unpack here. And it's not just about Tyrese and Will and Jada. It's about our entire community. What can we take from this? What are some of the issues that, align with the things we like to talk about in this? But in this short time, we can only hit a few things. As far as Tyrese, Will, and Jada in this entire mix, even though we're talking about it, giving commentary to really highlight other issues, the Black community really needs to wipe the slate clean regarding entertainers. Like, we are too wrapped up in entertainers in their lifestyles, to the point that I'm compelled to talk about it, because that is where our young adults and our community, those are the things that draw them into even any type of conversation. You've got to go to entertainment first before you can really reach the minds of Black people in a way. So,
Right.
you know, I
I'm
think
glad you brought that up. I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's part of the reason why we talk about entertainers, because that's how we reach our people.
and that's the thing, that's the platform, or the fundamental basis that we can spring from into other areas. But again, Tyrese, his behavior is Holly weird. You know, it's just typical. I mean, I don't know if this guy is bipolar or not. I just know that entertainers tend to do these types of things. They have so many behaviors that, if followed, are negative for our community as a whole. I mean, his weak and emasculating behavior, and I don't care if you say it's about being a father and all of that, go to your master bedroom and go to your wife, your loved ones, and cry to them. Why do you have to set up, let me get my camera set up, okay, let's cry? You know, it's like, why do all of that? So I'm not buying into, well, he's just being a good father, and why can't men cry? Yeah, you can cry in private, but why are you going and exploiting yourself and your family and your community? Have some type of pride and dignity.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you with that. And the honest truth is, he's a new husband and his wife is in trouble. If when they're facing adversity, the best he's got is cry, that's a problem. If the best he's got is, I'm going to cry, and then, in public, and you know, snot and all this other stuff, and hope somebody will rescue me, and then another man actually does come and rescue you, his wife is in trouble. You know, how can you rely on anybody like that?
Yeah, and then on the flip side, right, when you just look at the community as a whole, we do have to recognize that as a community, many of us are suffering. Many of us are behind as far as, you know, cultivating the habits and the understanding and knowledge that we should have at this point. You know, that's why we offer many services, like I do Black Tech Lab, and we have Married Women's Biz, because we want to feed the community with wisdom and knowledge that a lot of times we've been cut off from. So I think too that we also have to emphasize having empathy for one another, because sometimes we can just dig in on our shortcomings and our failures, because everybody, you know, makes mistakes. I mean, I've blown money. I've gone through seasons of my life where my decision making was just blah. So I don't want to act like Tyrese has to be this, you know, person that is just so on point and sharp with everything in his life and perfect. You know, but on the other side of that, right?
You were not, how old is he again? 45? You were not 45 doing that. How old is he?
I didn't know he was, I didn't even think about the fact that he's 45.
I don't know if he's 45, but he's at least 40, over 42.
Okay. But I'm still really pointing that to the community at large, that idea of having empathy for one another, and using this example of Will and Jada, because even though he's 45, he's kind of been coddled in this industry and does not have a real, just a realistic perspective of going through financial hardship, like, you know, everybody else does. Like, people experience the ramifications of their decisions monthly by not being able to pay rent or buy groceries. This person has been in the limelight and had money to blow and still rebound over and over again. So, you know, I mean, I'm not trying to justify anything. I'm just saying that these are some of the issues that in the Black community we need to look at. Emasculating and coddling Black men when they are not being, you know, that they're not exuding that masculine energy that they should be exuding. We have that situation where they're not, this person not being fiscally responsible, but at the same time, you have a married couple that is stable and coming to the aid of this young man through being, having empathy and showing some love, and all of those things are, you know, important in our community.
I just looked it up, and lucky for him, he's 39 this year, so he's a little younger than I thought. But you know, he has a daughter, he has a wife, he's officially a man, you know, and he has to man up. So I don't think he should get a pass for that. But I want to go into another point, which we can point out, which you kind of started to point out, that the help that he got came from a solid and stable family. Okay.
Right.
And let's also talk about the fact that money, power, and influence matter, whether you like it or not. And we can only have money, power, and influence through collectively working together. There's just no other way, okay? We have to band together in order to have money, to have power, and to have influence that is meaningful and that can actually translate into, again, sustainable survival and thriving for generations to come. And Tyrese's situation shows us that even though we see him as a celebrity, he's made a lot of money and all that, he doesn't really have any real money to speak of. He doesn't really have any power to speak of, and he doesn't really have any influence to speak of. I'll go off topic a little bit and go to George Zimmerman. This was back in 2012. George Zimmerman's dad was a judge in that area. And I feel stupid that I ever thought they would get a verdict that reflected what he did. But that is when money, power, and influence is working. He went on to commit several other crimes, but the money, power, and influence was still at work, okay? And I'll take it to a more real example. Just last week, not this past Sunday, the Sunday before that, the area that I live in, which is the Northeast, Massachusetts, anyway, we were hit with a storm, not a snowstorm, some kind of storm with lots of winds or whatever, and it knocked out our power, and we had no power for most of last week. And you know what really made me almost cry? A brother that I don't know face to face, but know through social media, emailed me or sent me a message, and he was like, "Oh my goodness, I didn't know you were affected by this, and do you need anything? You know, tell your husband to get in touch with me if there's anything I can help with," and blah. And he went on and told me all the things that he does for people when they have a crisis or whatever. And I was like, "I think my husband got it, and we're okay, and thank you so much." And then the last thing he said to me is, "We are all we have. We are all we got." So in other words, what he was really saying was, we have to help each other, because if we don't help each other, if we don't work collectively, we're in trouble. And I thought that was really meaningful.
Yeah, and so I want to kind of dig into what you're talking about with this power, wealth, and influence, because it undergirds this whole scenario in so many different ways. So you talked about this stable married couple who could just, you know, I know for me, if I give somebody some money, it's money I can lose. I mean, I'm sure perhaps it was a loan and maybe Tyrese has to give it back, but Will and Jada have the stability to where they can give $5 million. And you see this many times in marriages, you know, this type of stability. And again, we're using an exaggerated example that's in the limelight, but in reality, when you're able to have two people bringing in income, you do have an opportunity where you can have more than enough to where you can help another family. And I think that's what we should all be striving to do. And I find that, you know, I tried to talk to the Black community about getting into tech because there's high incomes. We're talking about an average of $80,000 annually as a base salary for technologists, and definitely, you know, into the six figures is reasonable. When we have a community that has an average annual income of $40,000. For more information on that, by the way, go to blacktechguide.net. But the thing is that some people are happy if they can just have enough for their family. And I learned early on that that wasn't good enough for me. I want to be able to contribute to campaigns for my community, whether it's political or social. I want to be able to help family members. I want to be able to save, invest. You know, sometimes you have to invest in your business that you're building over multiple years before it grows into everything you want, as well as maintain your lifestyle. So, you know, that is where us focusing on high income careers, businesses, or you know, whatever it is, we have to sit there and get focused and commit ourselves to times of study and you know, networking and learning.
I completely agree. You know, my husband's also in the tech industry, and just to give a different perspective, I often hear people say that, you know, it's unrealistic to say that a Black family can have a wife who dedicates herself completely to the home. Well, yeah, if you don't have much money, then yeah, you're not going to be able to do that. So I like the fact that you know, you have people shifting their mindset to when you pick a major, if you're going to go to college, when you pick a career, when you pick how you're going to make your money, focus on high income, okay? Because the truth is, there's nothing lacking in us in terms of capability, in terms of the education we can get, whether it's formal or informal, and what we can do. There's nothing lacking in us that's stopping us from getting into these high-end income careers or businesses. So I'm glad that you brought that part up. The second thing that I was going to say is that if you look at most families, okay, and you think about how much money they're making or how they're constructing their lives, it really is true that they are usually so caught up in their struggle that they can't even look up to give a hand to anybody. And that can't be our normal anymore. We have to get to a point where we have more than enough, right? So that we can be able to bless other people, whether it's just people you are in your family or people that are in your community or whatever else it is. You have to be able to travel and expand your horizons. You have to be able to do things, you know, we're both homeschoolers. If you don't really have time, resources, and the ability to do anything, you can't expose your kids to more than just the daily grind and struggle and whatever it is. Your children need you to do more so that they can see more and expand their minds. It's so many things that we do. On Fridays, for instance, in our house, we do field trips, or at least we're supposed to do field trips. Sometimes we don't. But the truth is, what I've realized is oftentimes you don't really need a lot of money. But the truth is, if you don't have any, or you're too caught up in that struggle mentality and lifestyle, you're not going to be able to do it. You know, you're not going to be able to do anything because you're just so busy trying to survive whatever it is you're going through. So I think it's really important for us to create a new normal where you don't just have enough. You have enough, like you said, to give to other people, do things, and also invest and save.
As well as create multiple streams of income. You know, you, even if you have a business, whatever you're doing, you have to have one source, more than one source of getting revenue or income into your household. So, you know, I think that these are some of the takeaways, because with Tyrese, you know, this is again a high profile example of someone who had some things going on, but again, everything you were getting was with the permission of others. What are you getting? Where are you able to get resources from when those who have been giving you permission begin to deny you? Right. You know, my thing is, anything I get off the plantation, I'm trying to figure out how can I create a source that if they say no to me getting resources, food, money, housing, whatever, how can I get it another way? You know, because as just as sure as somebody saying yes all the time, you know, there's a possibility that they could say no. And instead of being out here taking all of these pictures and cheesing up with everybody, try to network. I mean, my thought would have been that he would have tried to network to produce his own film so that nobody could say, no, you're not going to be in this film. No, we're not starting production yet. You have the decision to do that. And that's what Will and Jada do. They have what is called Overbrook Productions. Mm-hmm. So you know, they're going to be in a film. Their kids are going to be in a film because they have a film production company. and
that's why they can say, you know, F you to the Oscars.
Yeah, I mean, and it's well done. I mean, their work is really nice that comes out of their company. So they have multiple streams of income. That's why they can help people. and things like that. And those are the types of lessons we have to learn. Those are the things that we need to be meditating on. I mean, yeah, it's cool to laugh at Tyrese and make, have a good time, get involved in a little entertainment gossip and do these little side things. But, like a good 90% of our time needs to be focused on problem solving. And I'm saying this because, I spend hours and hours a day studying technology. I mean, I spend upwards of 10 to 20 hours per week reading and doing tutorials and labs. And I am not talking about six-figure tech careers and businesses, stuff like this off the top of my head. This is stuff that I invest and take time and focus and energy to, that's the thing that we're not doing in our communities. We're distracted by so many other things. We're not sitting down, turning off the TV, turning off this social media and all of this drama and gossip, so that we can, if you can binge on Real Housewives of Atlanta, you can binge watch Love and Hip Hop, you can get you a good tutorial on Safari Books Online or whatever it is and begin learning. We need the knowledge to make better decisions. And hopefully Tyrese will take this $5 million and not only just pay his debts and keep his lifestyle stable, but he will take a chunk of that and invest it in an asset that will keep bringing him money. No, I see you wrong.
I'm not holding my breath. You know what they said? He said 5 million to keep us afloat.
That's
so I'm not optimistic about that, but certainly we can draw from the lessons that you're highlighting based on his situation. And even if it doesn't apply to him, we can apply it to ourselves.
Again, Tyrese and Will and Jada, I mean, they're an interesting story to spin off of, but the real message here is about, it's good when we can show up for one another when there's a crisis. Also, it's great when we can build stable families that can help as a cornerstone of the community, balance things out when there's a problem. As we have families in the community, it makes the community more stable. And when you have a chance to get fiscally strong, we need to aggressively, take advantage of that opportunity to create multiple streams of income. As for me, I'm a technologist, and I use money that comes from the plantation to invest and redirect into businesses. So, we have to begin building multiple streams of income in our communities. Also, just having family values so that we can keep our marriages and our families afloat and not be dealing with these crises of child support and regulation from the court system and the legal system and all of these types of things. So again, I want to thank you guys for joining. You can see more of Nomalanga and I at marriedwomensbiz.com. You can also get information about building high-tech careers at Black Tech